Why This Film, the podcast where we reach back into your childhood, pluck out a movie, give it a rewatch, and have a chat about it. I'm Emily Slade, and welcome back. You watched it so many times before, and now you're gonna watch it again. But it's been so many years since you last saw it, and now you show it to your friends, and they're like, What?
What am I watching?
Why this film? And I'm joined today again by James. Hello.
Hi, Emily. Glad to be back. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. Very exciting. We're continuing the trend, and we're heading over to 1998's Pokémon, the first movie, aka Pokémon Mewtwo versus Mew. The IMDb breakdown: scientists genetically create a new Pokemon, Mewtwo, but the results are horrific and disastrous. Great breakdown there. So why this film?
Well, from my last appearance, I don't know if I gave it away, but I kind of like Pokemon, and it was mainly the first two which I watched in heavy rotation during my childhood. And since I talked about the second one, I was happy to be back to do the first one. And I have fond memories of going to the cinema to watch this and literally having to queue around a block just to get in. And I remember getting the Pokemon cards, which I lost and then bought years later off eBay for a couple quid. And I remember rewatching the video, and I just loved this film. It was everything a Pokemon fan could want. Well, mostly everything. I'll get into that later. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I was really excited because this was the one that like everyone talks about and everybody knows, and it's got a very famous ending. I was surprised at how short it was, and that within that there sort of wasn't. It's crazy. Okay. So my version on Amazon Prime opened with Mewtwo's origins, but like a cut version. It wasn't the prolonged, emotional, I'll put a pin in that, uncut version. So it opens with this, like, I was like, fuck me, like Pokemon did not need to go this hard. It's like, we are creating life, and Mewtwo is like, what is my purpose? And he like burns everything to the ground. I was like, fucking hell, this is gonna be awesome. And then within 5 minutes we're back to like, Ash, Misty, and Brock are having some lunch. And they're like, Pikachu, I'm hungry. And you're like, oh no, here it is, his Pokemon. And then, yeah, it's that bizarre mixture of the two tones where one is like Splice meets Frankenstein meets like God knows what, and Pokemon. So it was really fun. It was really interesting, the decision that they took, even though I read that it's a completely different story to the Japanese cut, which is interesting. Have you seen the Japanese cut?
No, it seems like the Japanese originals, especially for these earlier films, are much more difficult to find. And if you want to watch these Americanized dubs, then you need to get the more recent versions, which come with the 2-minute short, but it doesn't come with what was on the theatrical release and on the original DVDs and videos, where they would put the little short film beforehand, and that would be part of the runtime. So before this, there was Pikachu's Vacation originally, which is like a 20-minute short of just Pikachu and Pokemon going on a holiday, but they encounter other Pokemon, and it becomes a whole dick measuring contest between these Pokemon. And that's. Did you manage to watch Pikachu's Vacation?
I sort of skipped through it again. I didn't watch the whole thing because I only remembered that it existed like 5 minutes before we were about to go on air, and I was like, shit. So I sort of skipped through, and I was like, okay, there's nothing about Mew there. That just looks like Pikachu having a good time. Some Pokemon cried in it. I didn't know if that was relevant to the plot, as that seemed to be a huge plot point.
No, it's pretty much like what Pixar do, where they put a short beforehand, but it's unconnected to the actual film. Like pretty much Pikachu's Vacation it has dashes of silent cinema, a bit of a wildlife documentary, part comedic farce. It's just Pokemon on holiday away from those pesky humans, and it's pretty much a David Attenborough documentary meets Baby's Day Out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out afterwards. Yeah. Pokemon away from those pesky humans. I mean, we went into it a little bit with Pokemon 2, but goodness me, does this movie present even more problems on those accounts. It's so funny. I think Mew is a really great villain, and apparently in the Japanese version, he was a bit more existential and a bit more trying to find his place within the universe, whereas America just made him a full-on villain, which is fine, but then his turnaround is so abrupt that it sort of gives you whiplash. And then what lessons they present are like heavy-handed and don't make any sense within the realms of the universe. But I can also see why this was an emotional crux for many people, because this is the Pokemon movie where Ash fucking dies. And like, not only does he die, he turns into stone, and Pikachu does this like Simba bullshit where he's like, Ash, wake up! Trying to like push him, and I was like, oh my god, it's like Mufasa all over again. That must have been traumatizing to a child.
Oh yeah, just the sight of, oh yeah, this is your hero. He's trying to help all these Pokemon. He's trying to punch Mewtwo despite how futile it is. Oh yeah, he gets in the middle of all this blast and turns into a fucking fossil. Oh, Pikachu's trying to electrocute him, but no, he has to cry. He's not good enough to save him. And it's just like, what the fuck?
It's crazy.
You're presenting this to a, what was I, 6, 7?
And like, don't get me wrong, I love it, and I actually felt that for a kids thing, it lasts quite a long time. You either go full Mufasa, where it's like, you know, Mufasa's only dead for like 20 minutes, and you see him in the clouds or whatever. So that's probably the longest and most final in terms of childhood deaths. But usually when a character dies in a kids thing, they're brought back to life literally instantaneously. Whereas we have a good few like long shots of Pikachu trying to like resurrect him with electricity, and everyone just looking at Ash's corpse, shit. And it goes on. And it goes quite a long time if you're like aged 9, because like a minute is like half an hour when you're 9, and this lasts like 2 minutes. So the death is like an hour long for a 9-year-old. Whereas usually a death would be like 30 seconds. So yeah, I was like, this is fucking dark. And it already was dark with the whole Mewtwo thing. And it was even before I got to Mewtwo's uncut origin story, where like I fucking cried. Like, what the hell was that? I fucking cried. Like, what the hell was that?
See, that is such a core part of the story, because you feel a bit more sympathy for Mewtwo, as he's with these friends, and you see Dr. Fuji's ultimately trying to do this because he wants to resurrect his dead daughter. And what do they do for the VHS when they port it over? Oh, the research team find Mew's eyelash. Nothing of the emotional core. And it's an hour, 10 minutes, hour and a half with the Pikachu short. You can't fit in that key bit of backstory.
Literally. And it would make more sense as well for his turnaround at the end, because he ends his origin story like, what is life? Like, what... And it's important. I know that life is important. That's what I've learned. And then they give him this serum to make him forget. So then when we see him in the full-length version of the movie, he's a bit like, what is happening? But it would make sense to trigger something and be reminded of Amber. Maybe Ash reminds him of Amber. Or like, they could have tied it in to make his turnaround a bit more meaningful and grounded, whereas as it is, Mew's just sort of like, all the Pokemon cried. Guess I'm good now.
You know what? You can blame 4Kids Entertainment for that.
Well, you can blame them for a lot of things, can't you?
Oh, yeah. I know you're a One Piece fan. Are you familiar with what they did with the original dub? And
yeah, it was my first introduction to One Piece. Just my friend being like, "Look at this bullshit," where like Sanji, who's constantly smoking, now has like a lollipop instead, and they took out all the violence, and like One Piece isn't for children.
I can one up that. Pokemon had rice balls, which they would sometimes edit out and put in sandwiches, or other times keep the rice balls in and have the characters call them jelly donuts.
Oh, for God's sake! Like, you will not learn of others' cultures and cuisines. You will not.
Oh, yeah. And there is only, as far as I can remember, there's only one change 4Kids made, which I'll agree with, which there was an episode set in the Safari Zone, which has this cranky old man who's running it. And his kind of gag little quirk thing he does is he points guns in everyone's faces, which would play a lot differently for American speaking audiences than it would be for Japan speaking audiences.
Yeah.
And I say fair enough for cutting that episode, although that's also the episode where Ash catches his 30 Toroses. So in the dub, it's just a case of one episode he doesn't have them, the next, oh yeah, he suddenly has all this load of Pokemon, and you have no context for why.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. No, that's a very good idea. And I think it would have played okay in Britain, because we often, like, if you go to the countryside and it's like farmers' mums have guns. But yeah, in America, that's just like, what are you doing? So yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, like 4Kids are so funny. I guess they were just like, it's in our name. We can't. No, we have a shut up. Give us your things and we'll ruin them. So was it their decision to cut Mewtwo's origins?
Yeah, they wanted to cut the film down, and the former president of 4Kids production, Norman J. Grossfeld, he wanted Mewtwo to be portrayed more maliciously. Because in his words, he wanted American audience they felt American audiences needed to see a villain that was quote unquote clearly evil rather than a more morally ambiguous one.
Oh,
so
off America.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of kids can't handle this when you're really just talking down to them. So that's why we got a message about clones' rights to exist, and it becomes fighting. Bad.
Yeah, it's so existential and thoughtful, and like, fucking hell, it's so heartbreaking. Like, honestly, when I was watching the full-length version and this doctor was like, finally, we'll have made the most powerful Pokemon in the world. I was like, okay, cool, there's some conversations that could have been had here, but I guess we're not going to have them. And then you watch the uncut version and you're like, all of these conversations are swimming around, and there is a little girl called Amber who is totally okay with her own death and existence, and fucking made me weep.
Yeah, it's a pretty substantial part to just leave on the cutting room floor and audiences don't see until it's dubbed for, like, I don't know, 5 years or something stupid like that. It's, oh my God, fucking 4Kids. I'd just drill it down to that.
Literally, it's really unfair. As you said, like, it is just talking down to children. Like, children are much more mature and fascinated with things like death than I think adults perhaps realise or maybe want them to be. And there's some really great conversations had that are established in the uncut version, but yeah, they're all just wiped out for fighting, which let's go into it. I mean, it's not controversy, but very famously in the first Pokemon movie, there's this huge battle where he makes all the clones fight all of the normal Pokemon, and only Pikachu refuses to fight, and it causes his Pokemon clone to sort of almost weaken and be like, fight back, damn it! Whereas the others are all just sort of fighting. And the humans spend like 5 minutes watching a Pokemon battle, which is something we've had previously in this movie and something we're accustomed to in the Pokemon world, going, fighting is bad. Fighting's not good. I don't think fighting is, oh, I'm sad now. And then Mewtwo kills Ash and is suddenly like, oh shit, fighting's bad, I guess. Takes all of his clones, all the Pokemon cry, and they resurrect Ash. Mewtwo flies away and then makes everyone forget the lesson they just learned, which I guess makes sense in the fact that a Pokemon born to fight? Or is that just something that humans make them do?
I mean,
what?
in the Pikachu's vacation short, it very much comes down to Pikachu and his Pokemon, like Ash's Pokemon that he's allied with, come across this other group of Pokemon, and they just like rivals glaring the whole time and having like these swimming contests and just like attacking each other, and they're pretty much It's not like the battles where they're like shoot your razor leaves at each other, use your flamethrowers at each other. It's very much more of a I'm better than you and I'm going to prove it kind of thing. And I'm sure there's a lot of Pokemon. I haven't watched a lot of it for a while, but I am sure there are instances where Pokemon battle each other without trainer in sight, where that's just the whole thing of their wildlife, their nature.
So then why install a message that fighting is bad for animals that are predetermined to fight each other?
As a massive fan who has nothing but love for this franchise, it boggles my mind that they chose a message for their very first film, which ultimately goes against a lot of what the franchise is about. I mean, Brock literally says, why can't Mewtwo understand it's wrong to make Pokemon fight?
Honestly.
And I'm just like, this fucking dub, what the fuck are you doing?
Honestly, it's like, what do you mean, Brock? You were totally fine when Ash sent his Squirtle against that other guy's fucking rock monster 15 minutes ago. Like, what? And like, I didn't know if there was meant to be a thing where like this guy turns up and challenges Ash to a competition, and he has all of these like spiky, scary Pokemon, and Ash keeps sending his like baby Squirtles and Pikachus at them, and every time they win, I guess the loser's Pokemon are like passed out anyway, so he just returns them to the ball. But every time they win, Ash is very much like, come here for a hug, Squirtle, you did so good, well done, have some bacon. So we were meant to think that Ash treats his Pokemon with more friendship and respect, but then when you see the other Pokemon trainers, they're also acting as if they're like actual pets. And then what's horrible about that is that and we see it in this movie that Mewtwo does it, and I assumed this was the thing. If you win against a Pokemon, if you win a Poke Battle, do you get to keep the other person's Pokemon?
No, that's never a thing. Mewtwo's just did it because he wanted to pretty much capture them and make his clones the superior with their what he thinks is inferior originals, not to stand in their way. No, the only thing you get when you beat a Pokemon trainer in the games is a bit of money.
Right.
And in the anime, it's just a case of, well, that was a good battle, well done, and be on their way. You never get to capture the other person's Pokemon. That is never a thing.
Right. Okay, cool. That makes more sense, because I was like, fucking hell, that's like an emotional tie you have to break and then retrain, and yeah, it's all just very I don't think you're meant to think about it kind of vibes. There is not much Team Rocket in this movie at all.
No, since our last conversation, I've gone back through more of the Pokemon films, and there is a case of they include Team Rocket less and less. Like sometimes it's just a cameo appearance, or these are fan favorites, let's include them here. And I was a bit surprised how, they don't really, apart from the whole bit with the rowboat and them examining the laboratory to get some behind the scenes knowledge for the viewers, they don't really have an impact on the plot.
Which I'm glad that they used those guys to do it rather than like one of the random pokey trainers that we just met. But yeah, it just seems interesting that they were not there in a villain capacity at all, really. We weren't meant to see them as a threat. Like, they literally had the opportunity at one point to kidnap Pikachu, and they didn't. Instead, they referenced, who's that Pokemon? So, yeah, I mean, when is Meowth's Netflix comedy special out? Because he has the best lines, obviously, even though he's, like, rarely used. I love him. I think he's the best. And I love that even his clone is like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm chill. Meow, meow.
And when Meowth's faced with the opportunity of fighting, he doesn't see the point in it. So they just sit down and Meowth's like, maybe if we start looking at what's the same instead of what's different, well, who knows? And I'm just like, Meowth is bringing down the truth bombs. That's right. Meowth just said, fuck racism, trans rights, gay rights. He is just a little Bostonian ally.
It was so funny. Like, they're the only Pokemon that don't battle in any way, and they just sit and look at the stars, and Meowth's like, wow, the sky really is pretty. It's like they'd eaten some, like, hash brownies or something. I was like, God, Meowth, like, all right. Even Pikachu's, like, in the ring, which, when the Pokemon are fighting, they play this, like, pop song over the top of it, where it's like, brother fighting brother. It's like very on the nose, and it doesn't fit what I'm watching because they haven't installed the message yet. So at the moment, it's just a fight scene, but they're trying to get in early with the fact that you're supposed to think it's bad. So they put this pop song over the top when really it should be music that's like, or whatever. But instead it's like a little like, peace and love kind of thing. And you're like, what? They're just fighting. And only then afterwards are people like, fighting's bad.
Would you be surprised to know that's a dub choice by 4Kids?
I'm not even, I was like, America. Stop.
Segue to just say, have you seen what's on the soundtrack for this film?
No.
Okay, now, a couple of these are put over the end credits, but these are the artists who are on the soundtrack for this Pokemon movie. We have Christina Aguilera, whose song plays over the end credits, as does Emma Bunton's.
No way!
And the ones which are on the soundtrack but not in the film at all, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Bewitched, and Billie Piper. How fucking 90s is that lineup?
Like, bloody hell, 4Kids. They were like, right, we need the entirety of the Mickey Mouse Club in our soundtrack. Just get them all. Like, oh my God. I thought I recognised the end credits song. It was lovely and forgettable, but very familiar. So good job, 4Kids.
They really had their fingers on the pulse.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to keep this relevant. Yeah, so that was very strange. There's a whole bit where they kidnap Nurse Joy, and I, didn't care at all. Why did you do that, Mewtwo?
Mewtwo says something out. He needed her Pokemon knowledge to...
Why?
I don't know.
I
honestly don't know.
Omnipotent Mewtwo, like, what?
And when Brock's looking at the poster for the missing Nurse Joy and says, she looks familiar. And it's like, they all look the same. Are you fucking kidding me?
Has the same face, Brock.
You wouldn't look at identical quintuplets and say, that one looks familiar.
Literally.
Jesus.
It's like she has the same face as Misty, Brock. She has the same face as Ash, Brock.
That's true.
There's one character design and you're the only one that goes any different. Yeah, a lot of fun female characters that get 2 lines. There's that officer police woman, and I assume these are characters from the TV show that have been put in the movie in a sort of hey, what's up way.
Not the harbour master, but
okay.
Officer Jenny is like Nurse Joyce, where there's one in everywhere in Pokemon and they all
Right.
look the same.
Okay.
It's like,
Nice.
what are up with those families?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, the like woman that's like so I expected it to be some like harbour captain, and she steps forward and she's like, none of you can go out. The storm is the worst. It's like the winds of change, and it's a legendary, terrible storm that only the tears of Pokemon can stop. And I was like, sorry, is this scientific or is this mythological? And she's like, no, you cannot. And then some people try and get to the island anyway using their Pokemon. And she runs out onto the pier and she's like, no. And then 2 seconds later, she's like, they will be great Pokemon masters. Godspeed, my friends. It's like, sorry, I thought you didn't want anyone to travel. And now you're like, they're the coolest because they're forcing travel. Like, what are your principles, lady? So weird.
My principles are exposition and motivational speeches to camera.
Literally, it's very odd, and like, it's like they couldn't quite think of a plot, because there's a lot of moments in this movie that are like, we need to stretch the runtime, so I guess we'll make a storm, and then we'll have like 7 minutes of people battling the storm, and you're like, this is not interesting. Mewtwo, a cloned Pokemon, arguably human hybrid, is over on an island of his own creation, like fucking Elsa in the mountains, storming the weather like a fucking X-Man, and you want me to watch this man ride a sea dragon through a storm? Take me to the fucking Frankenstein castle and show me all of the cool shit that you've got there. Like, all of the designs of that castle, they're better have been a fucking toy playset. It's like a snail with like tubes coming out, the way that they're cloned and the way that they're birthed. Like, it's just such a fun mixture of like organic animal and like science lab, and it's like grimy and dripping, and he makes Nurse Joyce wear this like Victorian gown, and like, it's so cool, and we don't spend enough time there.
It's true, it is a great design place, and I didn't realise Mewtwo had such great architecture. Architecture? Is that the word?
Yeah, like architectural skill. He's an architect.
Well,
He's a
I
good
just fucked
architect.
up my gag. I'm glad I fucked up.
It's so good, and I wanted to see him like make it. You know, I want it like, because it's called New Island, so I assume like he invented it. Because then it's gone when he leaves. And again, for someone who's like psychic, he never once feels the presence of Team Rocket, which is fine, because it means that they go undetected, and then they get to stay on the island afterwards because he doesn't transport them back. But so does that mean he doesn't wipe their memory?
I don't know. At the end, Team Rocket saying like, I don't know why we're here, but this is a great place, and I think it's more of a in a vicinity thing. Like, maybe everyone who was on the island, he wiped their memory.
Yeah,
and that's although it's very interesting. It makes sense when you go to the original text that he's wiping their memories so him and his clones can live in peace. But when you've got a message attached, which could fundamentally alter this franchise, then it's just like, what was the fucking point of that?
Literally. So dumb. So unnecessary. Doesn't make any sense.
What's interesting is that Mew, the original that Mewtwo wants to defeat, he's characterized with such childlike wonder, and the dub has him give a whole real strength comes from your heart kind of speech translated by Meowth.
I loved that.
Mew's not like that in the original. In the original, his whole thing is original Pokemon are real and you're all going to lose. So that's a change I actually liked.
Yeah.
It made him seem less like a cocky git.
Yeah. That made him a lot more sort of charming and whimsical. I love that. It's like this heartfelt speech to Mewtwo where he's like sticking up for the other Pokemon, and it's Mew, 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 Mew. And you're like, what? And luckily Team Rocket are there to be like, what? And Meowth's like, because this is the thing, we should have got like a psychedelic, like a, I don't know, like how Mewtwo can speak without, can speak, etc. Like, I feel like Mew almost should have had that power as well, and it'd come through and be like, a true Pokemon's strength comes from its heart. Instead, we get Meowth being like, well, he's saying a true Pokemon strength comes, and it's not quite the same. But I love it because I'm here for Meowth forever.
He is a little gem.
Love it.
Originally, they were gonna tie this film into the anime a lot more. Like, they had episodes which were specifically gonna set things up, but something happened. Are you aware of the infamous Porygon episode?
No, I don't think so.
Right. This is a tangent, but it is connected, I promise.
Okay.
So, in some episodes, they had scenes which you see in the opening when, like, Mewtwo's working for Giovanni, when he escapes, and you see it in the actual anime in some episodes. And there's meant to be more tie-ins, but the episodes were delayed due to this Porygon episode, which only aired in Japan, and it had an instance where Pikachu uses a Thunderbolt attack on some missiles, which causes an explosion that gave off red and blue flashing lights, and this reportedly caused epileptic seizures across Japan, with, get this, 685 viewers were taken to hospital because of it. Now, it's been 24 years since that episode first aired in Japan. It has never aired in any country since, and there's been over 1,100 episodes and over 20 films since then, and Porygon and its evolutions have never played a main role in the anime to this day. You know, Porygon got the blame, but Pikachu was the cause of those epileptic seizures. And they can't sideline Pikachu because he's the mascot.
The favorite,
so
yeah.
Porygon got the short end of the stick. And this incident caused the anime to go on a 4-month hiatus, and such a delay meant that they couldn't tie it in as much as they wanted to. So they had to expand the opening to fill in some of the blanks. And yeah, that's a whole fucking thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's so funny. That's like such a trope that Japanese cartoons give you like seizures or whatever.
I think that's because of that Pokemon episode.
Pokemon episode. That's so interesting.
Because that aired in 97, I believe it is. And yeah, we still get stuff like that on The Simpsons and that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's immediately what I thought of. That's crazy. Did you read about the Burger King controversy tie-in for this movie?
I don't think I did, actually.
Oh boy.
What was it?
So to tie in with this movie, Burger King released a very expensive campaign where in your Happy Meal, well, in your like Burger King kids meal, you would get a Pokeball that opened and had either a gold card or a little like Pokemon in it. But the Pokeball would like split open in half, so you would have 2 halves, and it was just big enough to fit over the mouth and nose of an infant. And if you sucked in, it would cause a vacuum and it would like strap itself to your face, essentially. So there was an incident of a child that was found dead in their playpen with this Pokeball over their face. Burger King were instantly asked to recall the product. They refused, saying that they wanted to ensure that, you know, it was the Pokeball that caused the death and not anything else, because there were no signs on it about it being a choking hazard. And then gradually, as they kept delaying the recall, more and more children died from suffocation using these Pokeballs, which is fucking insane. And there was statements out at the time where they were like, we have never worked with a company that haven't immediately recalled the product in the way, like, because Burger King are like, but it was expensive, but Pokemon's in cinemas right now, and they were like, children are dying, and they were like, but the Pokeballs. so yeah, there was a lawsuit between all of the parents of all the children that had died that was sort of just like settled outside of court with a sum of money that was never disclosed. And yeah, so like I assume going forward, I didn't read anything about it, but I assume going forward that Burger King would just fucking put choking hazard or like don't give to your 4-month-old infant alone in their playpen, or just like make better toys. Like yeah, it's horrible, because the little Pokemon that came in the ball was not a hazard. Like, no one was swallowing them and choking on them. It was these balls that would get like lodged onto their faces and cover their nose and mouth, and they would suffocate. Completely bizarre. But yeah, so that's the Burger King controversy.
Wow.
For Pokemon the first movie. Awful. Horrible.
Honestly, when Mewtwo awakens, and after all he's been through in that opening, I kind of don't blame Mewtwo for having such a grudge against humanity.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. Like, Giovanni turning up, or whatever his name is, and being like, let's be partners. And then instantly he's like, you are my slave now. And Mewtwo's like, fuck that. And he's like, no, slave, stop, be my slave. And Mewtwo's like, I'm gonna fucking burn this place to the ground. Woo!
Fuck yeah.
He blows up his creators. It's quite, like, devastating. He, like, in this little kids movie about pokey creatures, he, like, wipes out this laboratory and is standing amidst the flames as this man helicopters down, who has a very nice Pokemon. It's like a dog with, like, a gem in its head. Big fan.
Oh, that's a cat. That Persian is the one Meowth evolves into.
Oh, nice. Love it. Yeah, big fan of that. Didn't do anything, because then Mewtwo immediately was like, I kill you. And then that subplot was over, and he went and made New Island. But yeah.
That image of him flying away from Giovanni, like shedding its armor as though it's ridding itself from the shackles of its oppressors. It's a powerful image. And
so powerful.
Yeah, when he's manipulated to be a slave for Giovanni and told that he's just not really a living being and something to be experimented on, it's no wonder Mewtwo's like, fuck humanity.
But then why does he take it out on the Pokemon as well? That's what I don't understand. I'd have thought he wanted the Pokemon and would be like, come and live with me free on this island away from humanity, and then he would make to kill the humans rather than being like, I'm gonna clone your Pokemon and then return them to you.
His rationale in the film was that essentially these Pokemon have embarrassed themselves by aligning themselves with you lot, and I don't want any of that weakness along with me. So it's like he's trying to create his own pure set of clones free of the toxicity from humanity as he perceives it.
That makes sense, actually. Okay. Yeah, fair enough, Mewtwo. Go for it. Right.
It's a bit of a god complex after that.
Yeah, I think it exceeded my expectations. I was excited to get to the big old Pokemon slap fight with everyone sort of going, oh no, and then I was excited to see how Ash died, because I didn't really know the ins and outs, and I was very interested and happy to see such a dark undercurrent, and I wish we could get hold of the Japanese version and see the more complex storyline that came with that.
I mean, they did do a remake on Netflix of this film. It was released, I think, it was either last year or the year before that, and it's a CGI remake which essentially recreates the films and goes to the original text of the film, and weirdly it's like 20-30 minutes longer than this film, despite being a remake. And
classic.
As a fan, I give it credit for going to the original stuff, but it also feels like what 2019's The Lion King was to the original animated one.
Yeah.
And so I'd recommend it for completionists or people who are interested, but I wouldn't say go out your way to watch this.
Yeah, it looks. I don't like how it looks.
No, it's not.
It's like shit CGI. It's not. It's not shit. It's just. God, it's like shot by shot remake, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
No,
you
I
have
don't care for it.
you have a bit more of Brock hits on the woman in Mewtwo's lair.
Yeah, I was happy to have less of that because I remember you saying that Brock filled that classic anime trope of the guy that fancies the women all the time, and there was a couple lines where he was like, "She's hot, she's hot, she's hot," but it sort of stayed at that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, thank God.
At least in the anime, when Brock comes out with that bullshit, you usually have Misty or somebody who just drags him off by the ears saying, "Stop being such a bloody pest." And
Yeah. Fuck off, Brock. No one wants you.
So at least someone's there to put him in his place and dissuade him against that behaviour.
Yes, very true. But it's tiresome. And I loved seeing Misty's little... I think I must have said this in the previous episode because every time I see her, I'm like, are we Misty's little starfish in an egg?
Togepi in a little backpack?
That's the one. Every time it speaks and it's like, three! And I'm like, ah!
It's adorable.
Like, I respond to it. I'm like a child. Whenever it like popped its head out and went three, I would sit there watching the movie going three. Like, I don't do it with Pikachu weirdly, but with that one I'm just like, yes, three. You're adorable. You little starfish in an egg. Like, it doesn't look like any other Pokemon that I've ever come... What does it evolve into? Does it evolve into the big star?
No, it's basically at this point in the anime, you had the original 150 Pokemon. Like, every kid knew this is what there is. And then what they would do is they would pepper in other little Pokemon, which are going to be more heavily in the next generation.
Okay.
So in this film, you had Donphan, the first Pokemon that the cheating pirate Ashface battles at the beginning. That Bulbasaur beats its ass with its UV solar beam or whatever.
Yeah.
That one, I remember being a kid when that one came up. I'm like, wait, that's not one of the original 151.
Ooh.
Who the hell is that? And just being fascinated until they announced it was a new one for the next game in the next generation. And Togepi's like that because when originally Ash and Co gets Togepi as an egg, and then when it hatches, they're like, I don't know what that Pokemon is. And Misty carries it around like a little baby because it's so adorable.
It is.
And you don't really get any info about who that Pokemon is or what it evolves into until the next generation. And I am glad Togepi didn't get captured in one of those awful veiny black red-eyed Pokeballs because I could not handle evil Togepi trying to beat up that cute little egg.
Yes, oh my god, I don't want to see Togepi getting slapped about by like Nega Togepi. Yeah, not a vibe. I felt really bad for the Psyduck. Is it that it feels pain that it gives? Because it looked like the Psyduck would slap the other Psyduck and then both Psyducks would be like, Psyduck.
See, Psyducks tends to be a really powerful Pokemon with powerful psychic attacks, but to get to that point, it has to give itself a headache, and it's very much a little dopey little Pokemon that's so lovable that Misty loves, but also infuriates her because it's not good in battle until it's been like attacked or something. So Psyduck attacking each other and then grabbing their head is just them like, hit. Oh no, I'm dopey. It's just very much in that dopey aesthetic the Pokemon's been set up with.
It was like the Eeyore of the group. Like wherever it went, it was just like clutching its head going, sigh, sigh. I was like, take him to therapy. He's not okay. Someone tuck him in. Whereas like, and it was like horrible seeing Pikachu in such peril. as well. And like, I was a little bit like, all right, Ash, like, I get it. You're the fucking chosen one. You're amazing. All of these other poker trainers have these like incredibly advanced, well-trained, hardcore Pokemon. And you've got like a baby Squirtle who's somehow managing to evade capture longer than all of these other hardcore Pokemon. Same with Pikachu. Pikachu's just like fucking the Harry Potter of Pokemon. And just, yeah, as an adult watching a movie that could have easily have been very complex and dark, to have Ash's Pokemon be like, we're so good, even though they're not even trained that well, you're like, all right, Ash, shut up.
See, Ash and his Pokemon have very much a partnership where Ash won't force them to evolve to become like the bigger versions. It'll be if they want to. So a lot of the time, Ash will just leave them in their original form, so they're small, but they can still get trained up and become better fighters. So that's probably why Squirtle can beat a four-armed wrestler like Machamp. Or actually, that Machamp, you watched it on rental. I presume when Machamp came out, he only appeared like out of the Pokeball once.
Yeah, which one was Machamp? Let me just Google what that looks like.
The four-armed one that Squirtle fights in the opening battle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, originally, when I saw that in cinemas, when I watched it on video, the pirate cheat sends out, I'm not Googling his name, he's just pirate cheat to me. He sends out Machamp, and we see it come out and be sent out. And then immediately after, they show that image again of him being sent out.
Oh.
And it seemed like, oh, this must be an aesthetical choice. But it was corrected to only seeing the Pokemon be released once in 2012. So that was a mistake, which was in the film for over a decade, and they didn't bother to sort it out for that long.
They cut so much, but they didn't cut that.
Nope.
That's so funny. Poor kids were just like, it's fine. No one, kids are stupid. No one knows.
Oh, fucking 4Kids.
So was Mew a character before this movie?
Yeah, Mew's an odd one because originally they told you there's 150 Pokemon and Mewtwo was the last one. And then when the movie came out, they started, well, before it comes out, they were saying about, oh yeah, there's Mew and he's the 151st. And so they were heavily marketing on Mewtwo fighting his original. And that was going to be the battle of the century or whatever they were marketing as. So Mew was known, and Mew was hinted at in the lore of Mewtwo's history, but it wasn't until like the film was coming out that they were promoting him more, made him an official part of the Pokemon canon.
Okay, yeah.
And
Nice.
since then, Mew's been a popular part. Like with Detective Pikachu, I remember Bill Nye saying about how Mew is his favorite Pokemon.
Aww.
And yeah, so you called him like elegant or something like that.
He is. It's adorable. Was that in movie or?
No, that was in an interview afterwards.
I haven't seen Detective Pikachu.
It is good, much better than it has any right to be, and it's very, very good film to introduce to people who are Pokemon agnostic.
Yeah.
Because it's not in continuity. It's not about Ash or the games. It's very much its own part of the world based on a lesser known spin-off game in the Pokemon franchise.
Yeah. Is Mew in it?
I don't think Mew's in it. They make references to it. Mewtwo does appear because he's such a popular favorite that you couldn't not do it. I'm honestly, I can't remember if Mew's in it. It's been a bit since I've seen the film.
Yeah, that's
I would recommend it though.
Nice. Yeah, I'll check it out. Amazing. Yeah. Much better in places than I expected. As confusing as I expected in places.
That's very fair.
A solid first outing that I think, suffers from what could have been.
Yeah, it's when you understand that how much 4Kids really fucked about with it, it does feel very much of you could have been better.
Yeah.
But it is it is quite good and decent for what it
Yeah.
is. I must.
It really is. It's solid, and I think if I had to take children to see it in the cinema, I wouldn't be sat there like, oh. I'd like have a good time, and I read somewhere that like the origin story as well really breaks down for the parents in the audience, like what is a Pokemon, what is happening here, like how does this world work, which I think would be useful because it is a bit sort of like wait what, when you first come to it, but yeah,
That would have been helpful. Can I ask? Do you have a favorite Pokemon?
Yes, and like that woman. There was a what is it called? There was the woman at the on New Island who she was like, these are all of my Pokemon, and it was like the pony that's on fire, the like beautiful white fox that has like 9 tails, the like seal that's like those are my favorite.
Do you know their names?
Nope.
Okay, the pony on fire is called Ponyta.
Nice.
What was the next one? The fox with 9 tails is called 9 Tails.
Amazing.
And the seal one is called Dugong, but it evolves from a Pokemon called Seal.
Ah.
So you're very close with the names there.
Yeah. I liked Vulpix as well. That was the one that Brock had.
Oh, Vulpix is a little cutie.
Such a cutie. And I assume Ninetales comes from a Vulpix.
Yes, that's spot on.
They just look like they belong. Yeah, she had all the like cutesy girly Pokemon, whereas like another guy had all of the like water Pokemon, and then another guy had all of the like weird Pokemon. So yeah, as a kid not knowing much about Pokemon and just having like seeing the cards every now and then, I'm like, that's adorable, that's beautiful. Like if I had a plush of it, I'd much rather have like Dugong than Jinx or Cloyster. Like I don't want a plush of Jinx, thank you.
I don't think anybody would, but then the great thing about Pokemon is there's so many out there that every little Pokemon's going to have its own fans. Yeah. So whatever your own favorite is, it's not like there's a right or wrong answer, because every little one is just as valid as the other.
Definitely, and they'll all be appealing for various different reasons. Like I quite like all the fire-based ones because I'm like a Sagittarius or whatever. You can like link it to like your Hogwarts house and your horoscope. Like it's just one of those things, isn't it? So what's your favorite?
Mine's from the second generation. It's called Umbreon. It's there's a Pokemon called Eevee who in the first gen Eevee. Who they expanded more evolutions for it in the second generation, and they had a pretty much night and day system to evolve him into one or the other, and Umbreon's the nighttime one. It's called the Moonlight Pokemon, and it's my favorite Pokemon. I actually have a tattoo of it on my arm.
No way! Oh, I bet that's adorable. Oh, look at it. Oh, it's so cute.
It's wonderful. And I also have a lot of love for Bulbasaur, who's the little cabbage dinosaur Ash has.
Cabbage dinosaur, yeah. Oh, yeah, because you start off with those 3, don't you? Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle.
Yes, those 3. Charmander, technically. Charizard's the last evolution.
Yes.
Sorry to be a pedantic dickhead.
No, that's valid. I was like, yes, because that's more like a little dinosaur, whereas Charizard is like a dragon.
Yeah, he's very much dragon-like.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's good. That's nice to know, because I was under the impression that the original 150 were the like, that was all you needed. No one talk about any later generations. They ruined Pokemon. But that's nice to know that there are still some really nice, quite iconic. Like I do recognise Umbreon.
Oh, you get plenty of people like that who are like full on deep into their nostalgia, thinking 150 is all there is, and after it was the ruined designs. Like some of the most popular Pokemon nowadays were from later generations as well. Like there's this one called from 2 generations back called Mimikyu, who's pretty much this Pokemon whose so in love with Pikachu and how everyone loves Pikachu that it designed itself to look like Pikachu because it wants to be loved as much.
Oh my god. I think I remember someone saying that they needed to like come up with a new Pokemon and they were really trying to rival the love that Pikachu has, and they ended up going with this like basically like shit cosplay Pikachu as a Pokemon. It's adorable. Oh my god, look at it. It's trying so hard.
That's the point of it, because the Pokemon is trying to do its own cosplay because it wants what Pikachu has. It wants that affection and that popularity.
Oh my god. It's so cute. It's so cute. Oh, so is the anime still going on?
Yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to stop it, but
Ah.
Ash is still traveling. It's been a while since he's actually traveled with Misty and Brock, but still him and Pikachu, and he's always has somebody new to travel with.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm.
Is he still like 11?
Yeah, the art style made him look much younger now, so it's a bit jarring because they changed animators but it is still a bit vague as to what he actually wants with being the greatest Pokemon master, because he's clearly not interested in catching everything. He's a good battler when the plot requires him to be. But it is still very much, you want him and Pikachu, this is exactly what you get, and it's what you want, really.
Yeah.
And Team Rocket's still around.
Oh, perfect. That's, ideal. That's all you want. And of course, the closest we ever came to world peace. Can you get Mewtwo, Mew, Mimikyu? Can you get all of these on Pokemon Go?
You can, yeah. Mimikyu might not be out yet. Sometimes they drop like Pokemon from further generations in earlier than than for some reason. But Mewtwo and Mew you can get through quests and what they call raid battles, which is where a load of people get together to defeat a super powerful Pokemon and they each catch one.
Nice.
So there is a nice little group aspect to working together that the game is incorporated. And they've actually incorporated that into the latest core series games.
Oh, amazing.
So that's a nice little response to what worked.
Yeah. Yay, so they can do some stuff right. Just don't say your stuff to 4Kids.
I don't think they've been with 4Kids since 2006 or something.
Nice.
Like Pokemon Company are just like, no, we'll do this our own way, and it's worked for them.
Yeah, nice. Hooray! Yeah, no, I was completely taken aback with how fucking heartbreaking the uncut Mew story was. I was just going to try and like get it in quick so I knew what I was talking about. And then she was like, remember Mewtwo, life is important. Why do you have to go? I don't know, but I do. Goodbye. I was like, and he's like, Amber. And you're like, no. No, she's like 11. Yeah, ridiculously heartbreaking. So no wonder 4Kids were like, no. No. Not happening. But no, it's solid.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You've come away to embracing these films since you didn't like Pokemon 3.
Since Pokemon 3, which I think I said in Pokemon 2, which I can still remember. Like, I really enjoyed Pokemon 2 and I really enjoyed Pokemon 1. So I wonder if I went back to Pokemon 3, whether I would like it or whether it is just bad and I'm a film genius. Like, who's to say?
See, I had watched it for the first time since our last conversation, and I think it's a really good Pokemon film. It's actually really emotional, and I have some thoughts about how it ends, but I do think it's a really good Pokemon film.
Well, we'll have to do a redo. It'll be our first redo. We'll come back and do Pokemon 3.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm up for that.
I think I need to revisit this. Because film is an evolving art, and sometimes you'll watch it and you'll hate it, and then you'll watch it again and you'll love it, and that's okay.
Very well spoken.
Yeah, always give things a second chance. Here on Why This Film, we believe in that.
Are there any films you wouldn't give a second chance to?
He's just not that into you.
I did actually see that in cinemas with friends, and I remember Scarlett Johansson breaking a vase or something, or a glass. I don't remember a lot of that film, and I think I'm all right like that.
It's one of the 3 movies I turned off halfway through, and I've never.
Oh,
yeah, only 3 movies I've never finished.
May I ask what the other 2 are?
Yeah, so it's that one. It's The Chronicles of Riddick.
I've not seen that. I've heard even Pitch Black fans say it's shit.
Yeah. And the third one is Blade Runner, the original.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there was a fucking horrible rape scene, and I was like, you know what, Harrison Ford, I'm fucking done. You were already not getting me on board, and now this is like too fucking far. I don't give a shit if you're a robot or not. I've watched his fucking whispers in the raindrops monologue on YouTube. I don't need to finish this. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's a really out of place scene in there, and they never drag him up for it.
And like I assumed that they wouldn't, and like it's so high. It's one of those like massively highly regarded movies that people like fucking fawn over, and I'm just like, no. Like, as a woman watching this, I'm not finding any enjoyment from it. And I'm not speaking for all women here. Like, already, I'm not a massive sci-fi person. Already, I'm not a massive Harrison Ford person. And I was just like, I don't care about Harrison Ford's character. He's a twat. And now he's just raped that woman. Like, / robot. Like no.
Oh, that film had already enough strikes for you going in before you got to that horrible scene.
Literally. So it really had to try hard to keep my interest, and it didn't. So I was like,
no,
bye,
that's fair
Blade
enough.
Runner. Bye forever.
Well, there's plenty of films out there you could be watching instead of one which you don't like. So, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck you. Nice. Yay! Thank you so much for coming back on. For Pokemon 1, we'll have to finish the trio with Pokemon 3 in future. Do you have anything to plug? What are you up to these days?
Yes, I do. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd, I'm at RoddersJ04. I write my reviews, articles, link my podcast appearances, whatever, at thereviewingrodders.co.uk. And I'm actually part of a little podcast group called Invasion of the Poddy People, which is like a monthly magazine show where we talk about news, make some recommendations, have a bit of discussion. And that can be found under Snakebite Horror. And yeah, check it out.
Nice. Awesome.
Thank you very much for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'll put all of the links in the description below, so make sure to check them out. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time on Why This Film. Bye! If you're a fan of Why This Film and would like to support the show, head to iTunes and leave a 5-star review. Why This Film also has a Patreon from £3 a month where you have access to early episodes, bonus material and much more. You can find that at patreon.com/Why This Film Podcast. Why This Film is on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and you can email into us at any time at whythisfilmpodcast@gmail.com. Hi Stephen.
Hi, Emily.
How do you feel about doing a podcast series looking at the film career of Barbara Millicent Roberts?
I don't believe I know her. What kind of movie is she in?
Oh, well, the movies are full of action, adventure, strong female characters, important messages for children, literary adaptations, rotoscope, original musical numbers, and quite often some ballet. She currently has 38 titles to her name, with more on the way, including a live-action vehicle.
Well, that sounds really interesting.
In A Barbie World, coming soon to the Why This Film platform.
Wait, what? Barbie?
New episodes every Thursday.